As I traveled to Peru, I didn't really know what to expect. Sure, Machu Picchu and llamas, but I didn't really know what it was going to be like. If I had any expectations, it was that it was going to be similar to, like, Guatemala. And it was. Our drive from the airport first night was stereotypically Latin America driving in bad traffic, and the walls were painted with political advertisements. But when we got up in the morning and started the bus journey to Cuzco, I was surprised by how much everything reminded me of California. Yes, there were poor people and shanty towns in Lima, but everything had more of a middle class feeling than the other places in Latin America. Lima is a giant spread out city, and it really did look like Los Angeles. And then we drove along the coast. I guess it is the same ocean, but I didn't expect it to look quite so like my coast. We saw pelicans and seagulls and plenty of other birds. They're different from the California versions, but to my untrained eye, it just seemed like a day on a boat in California. Peru and California also share in common a Spanish heritage. Obviously, this is more apparent in Peru since they still speak mostly Spanish. We went to a historical plantation, and the architecture and plants were so much like home I had to ask what the plants were to make sure I wasn't making up the similarity. They are indeed the same bougainvilleas that I brush against as I leave my apartment. They also have the same troubling slave-owning past as the United States. Colonial Peru used their slaves to grow cotton like the American South. Peru also has some pretty impressive deserts. Deserts are kind of weird places, from giant dunes to rocks to weird formations. I can see why people thought the Nazca Lines had something to do with aliens. Everything has an otherworldly feel. Death Valley is like this too. Places that humans have not really been able to bend to their will because they're so hostile. Peru is also in a drought like California. They're talking about resurrecting canals used by ancient desert cultures to get Lima the water it needs. This coastal area of Peru might not be the produce growing area like California is, but they do have a large vineyard region that produces pisco, the famous distilled wine. The winery smelled just like the ones in Clovis. Hopefully Peru can get their drought figured out, because for all the bleakness, it didn't have the desperation of, say, Mad Max. Except for Lima, there weren't any other giant water-hogging cities. The economy revolves around taking tourists on ocean tours and the sandboarding trips. Coastal Peru felt like a place where people have embraced the weird desert geography. People were excited to share the interesting things Peru has to offer that aren't Machu Picchu. The first part of the trip really changed my implicit expectations. Peru is so much more than the Inca Empire, and it's so much more like home than I could have imagined.